Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video we are going to be completing the messenger bag. Alright, so I'm going to use the 4-panel square and I'm going to be adding 3 rows of a black border. You want your panel to face up, okay, so this is the front side. And we're going to start in this corner over here. You'll notice that there are 3 double crochets in there, and we're going to insert our hook into that second one. So that was the first one right there. So we're going to insert our hook into that second one, and that's where we're going to bring in the black yarn. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to put a half double crochet into that same stitch, and then we'll put half double crochet in every stitch around. Alright, so here we are, the chain 3 corner space. And we're starting in the second one, which is there. So insert our hook, and we're going to pull that black yarn through to the front, like that, and then we'll chain 1. Alright, now we're going to make a half double crochet into that same middle stitch. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through all the loops on the crochet hook. Okay, and now we're just going to put 1 half double in each stitch around. Okay, okay, so I've crocheted this much. I started here, and now I'm hitting my first seam. And you notice that there's a little dip in the work, in the border, wherever the seam occurs. So something that you can do is use a larger stitch wherever it dips. So I'm doing half double crochets. I could do a double crochet, but I don't think that'll be high enough. I don't think that'll be a tall enough stitch to make up for the discrepancy. So instead I'm going to use a treble crochet, but I'm going to keep it tight because I don't want it to be too tall. Remember, treble crochet is like that. And then in the very next stitch I'm going to resume with my half doubles. Okay, so if we look at this, you'll notice that it doesn't really dip as much anymore. Okay, and this is the only row. Remember, we have to do 3 of these rows, so this is the only row where I'm going to do that. Once the border's height is consistent, then I can resume to the normal half double crochet in every stitch. Okay, so just wanted to show you that trick. It's a good trick to use if you ever need to kind of level out your work. Just use a bigger stitch. So as you can see, I'm pretty much to the other side, and I just want to show you that in this corner where I have 3 double crochets, I'm going to crochet into the first and the second one. So 1 half double crochet in each stitch. The reason I'm going into the second one is because over here I started in the second one, right? So we want symmetry, and remember, it should be face up and this top should be open. So once I crochet here, I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and I'm going to go back in the other direction. Alright, we're in that corner. So as I said, half double crochet in the first double crochet, and another half double crochet in the second double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to turn my work the other way, so I'm looking at the back side, and now I am going to put a half double crochet in each stitch. So remember that chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, so I need to put a half double into that stitch, to the same stitch. So I apologize for the black. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to put a half double crochet into that stitch and into every stitch thereafter. And I'm going to do this until I get back to the other side, which is way over here, at which point I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and do the same thing. Remember, I should have a total of 3 rows of these half double crochets. Okay guys, so I have crocheted my 3 rows of half double crochets, as you see. And for those of you who are wondering why I did not increase in these 2 corners that I came across, the reason is because we want it to kind of cup over a little bit. Well, because we didn't increase, it's caused it to curve a little bit on both sides, on both corners. This is what your work should be looking like now, and you will notice that the edge is straighter now because I used the treble crochet in there. See how it dips, the green dips? But then when I used a taller stitch there, by the time I got to the next 2 rows, it's pretty much straight. And the same thing on the other side. It dips with the green, but when I use a taller stitch, it makes for a straighter edge. Let's move on to the next portion. Okay, so this next part can be a little confusing with trying to explain to you whether you should have it face up or face down. So I've devised a very simple way. Basically, you're going to take your 8 panel piece, which is front side up. Okay, so this is the front side. And you're going to take your 4 panel piece, which is also front side up. And now we're going to pull this over like that. Okay, so now this is the back, okay? And basically this is the bag, right? But this is the bag inside out. So imagine that this is the flap. If we put that over, it's the inside, right? So basically right now, this is how it should be arranged. And we're going to connect this piece to the main portion, okay? So once again, face everything up, 8 and 4 piece, flip the 4 piece over like that, and this is where I want you to start. Alright, so here's the closer view, and now what I want to do is put my crochet hook in, and I'm going to turn this around. So I'm just going to rotate it like this, so that I can work from right to left, okay? I want to find the seam on this one, which is here. So that's the seam, and that's where I'm going to slip stitch into. So I'm here, and I find the seam, which is there, and I'm going to slip stitch into the stitch that's in that seam. So I go into the top of it like that, and I'm going to yarn over, and now I'm going to slip stitch, and I'm going to go into every stitch. First in this one, and then in the corresponding stitch in the other panel. Slip stitch. Okay. Next one, which is this one. And I'm going to go into the corresponding stitch, which is that one. Just slip stitching. Okay, I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'll meet you at the other side. So as you can see, I'm continuing to make my way around. I'm almost to the final side, but I just want to encourage you to make sure you're paying attention to your stitches and you're lining everything up, okay? The center, the seam, should line up with the seam over here, okay? Alright, let me get back to work. So I have made it all the way around, and I want to flip this inside out so that it's on the right side. So I'm going to give myself some slack there, just so I don't lose any stitches as I am turning it inside out. So just pull the right side to the outside now, like that, and I find my loop. So the loop is on the other side. It's over here. So let me turn this around. And now you're able to kind of see how the bag is turning out, okay? Okay, so I am going to add a border of single crochets across here, and then I'm going to go up around the flap and back down here, at which point I will slip stitch to join and fasten off. So let's do that. Okay, so let me bring this over here now. I found my loop, so I'm going to insert my hook and make the loop small. As I said, I'm going to put in 3 single crochets. Well, I didn't say 3. So now, you know, I did 3 rows of half double crochets. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to put a single crochet at the end of each row. So here's the first row, and I'm doing single crochets, no double crocheting anymore. So 1 single crochet in that first half double crochet row. This is the second row. 2, okay, and here's the third row. 3. Now I'm going to continue across. So here's the next one. Open this up a little bit, okay, and I'll just continue doing this until I get to the other side, at which point I'll start putting single crochets around the flap. Okay, I'll meet you at the other side. Okay, I've made it back to that 3-row stretch of half double crochets. So once again, I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each row. Let's go. 1. That's for that one. 2. And then this row. 3. Now we're on to the flap. Okay. I'm changing something up on the fly. I think Little John's yarn continued to put single crochets along the flap, but to kind of match what I did here, I'm going to put half double crochets around the flap. So let's find the next stitch. So I guess it'll be there. So we'll put a half double crochet there, and then into every stitch thereafter until we get to the other side, and then I will pop back on at that point. Okay, so we're nearing the end. I just have a couple more half double crochets to make. And then I'm going to slip stitch and be done with this part. Okay, so slip stitch there. If I just find a good spot, a nice sturdy spot to slip stitch into. It's a little tough, but that works. Chain 1, cut your yarn, and fasten off. Okay, so this is what we have so far. This is the main body of the bag. This is obviously the flap. Don't worry about the tails, I will weave those in later. Alright, so this is what it looks like now. All connected. We have the inside, and then we have this flap with the curved edges that fit nicely around the corners. And so all I need to do now is add a strap. So let's make the strap. First of all, I'm going to downgrade to a size H from the J that I was using, and it is USA. This should be, I believe, 5 millimeters or around there. Okay. In Little John's Yarns video, she said to chain out 150. I'm going to see if that fits my body, and I suggest that you do the same. Okay. So start with the famous slip knot. Insert your hook, and then, my friends, commence to chaining. 1, 2, to 150, or how many ever chain stitches you think will suit you and your torso. Okay, so I ended up chaining out 225. The reason is I want this to be a messenger bag. I think in the original video on Little John's Yarns channel, she called it a purse, but I think of it as a messenger bag, and so I want it to hang lower. So I chained 225 stitches to achieve that instead of 150, right? And that makes sense because messenger bags typically hang lower than purses. Now, also you might be wondering why I went down to a size H USA, and the reason is because it's a strap, you want it to be tight, and so one of the things that you do to make sure that there's less space is you can use a smaller crochet hook size, you can increase your tension, and you use smaller stitches, which explains why we're now going to be doing the single crochet. Okay, so we're going to skip this first chain, we're going to go into the second chain, and we'll make a single crochet like that. Okay, and we're going to just continue going into each chain stitch and crocheting a single crochet, and I'm going to pop back on the camera once I get down to the end. Alright, so I only have a couple of more chain stitches to put single crochets into, and I know this part was really annoying because you don't really have much to hold on to while you're making these single crochets, but just be patient. You know, maybe turn on some TV or something, you can listen to it, or some music while you do this. Okay, so that's the last chain, and I put one single crochet in there. So now my plan is to go around and continue putting single crochets in there, and you guys already know whenever there's a corner you usually put at least 2 stitches into that stitch. So I'm adding another single crochet to the final chain, and it's starting to get me on the other side. Now I'm going to go to this back side, and I am going to put a single crochet into each of these little loops. Okay, basically it's the other side of the chain stitch. So I want to put one right here. Technically that's the same stitch, but I don't want it to be too tight, so I want to add another single crochet like that as I come around even more. And now I'm going to go into this chain stitch like that, and I'm going to use this is the tail. I'm going to take this, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to crochet over it. Whenever you have a tail and you're crocheting, you might as well deal with it and crochet over it at that point, so you don't have to worry about hiding it later using the darning needle. Okay, and I'm just going to go into each of these tops like that, and I want to single crochet into them. Okay, so let's look. So here's the next top. and I just make sure the tail is over so I can crochet over it, over the hook so I can crochet over it, and I single crochet. Okay, and this is what it's starting to look like. So that'll be the next loop that I go into, and I make sure that tail is there as well. There it is, and I crochet a single crochet over it. Here's the next loop, and I crochet over it. Okay, and so we're going to do this all the way back down until we get to this end right here. Have fun and take your time. Okay, so at this point I have one more single crochet to do for this row. Just go into that loop and add the single crochet there. And now what St. John's yarn does at this point is she slip stitches and is done, right? The shop, once again, that she uses is for a purse, but we're not making a purse, we're making a messenger bag. So instead what I'm going to do is chain one and put single crochets all the way around, and then come back to this point and then slip stitch there. So basically I want you to chain one, we'll do that now, turn your work, and now we're just going to put regular single crochets into the tops of each stitch. Alright, so we're just going to go into the top of the stitch there like normal. Bet you really appreciate the tops of stitches now, don't you? And just go into every single crochet and put a single crochet in it. So that's already thicker, right? But then by the time we come back around, it'll be even thicker. So it's this wide, and then add another little bit down there, and it should be wide enough for the messenger bag at that point. If it's not thick enough by the time you get back around here, if it's not to your liking, then just continue adding rows until you have your desired strap width. Alright, I will let you get to it. Alright, so I am back around, and now all I need to do is slip stitch into that first chain one. And then chain one and cut my yarn and pull through. So at this point, and I thought this was a really cool idea in Little John Yarn's video, is we're going to take another color of our choosing, and we're going to basically reinforce this strap. Okay, right now there's a lot of give, see? But when we slip stitch through these, and I'll show you how to do it, it actually makes it much more sturdy and eliminates quite a bit of the slack, which will ultimately be very good for our shoulders. Okay, so I've done my 2 rows. So first I chained out my 225, and then I did 2 rows going from here and around and then back around. So if you look in the center, you'll see that that's where the original chains were, and then I did 2 rows, so you'll see 2 rows of single crochets on either side of that center portion, of that center part. So now I've decided to add green to the center. I'm going to use a slightly smaller crochet hook. I'm going to downgrade one more time to size G USA. If you don't have a G, you can use the H. I just think it'll be a little bit easier to get through the stitches since I crochet them using an H. Alright, so the first thing is we're going to tie the yarn to the strap. So I want to go and find a little spot at the end where I can hook that on, pull it through, and then I'm going to just tie a knot. And now tie it a couple of times. So 1, 2. Now you see here as I said before, this is the center part. That's where the original chains are. Okay. We're going to put our yarn in the back like this. And I'm going to go in the little space separating the two rows of single crochets, so that space there. I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull, not the tail, get that out of the way, but the yarn that I'm working with, pull that forward like that. Okay? And now I'm going to start doing slip stitches. So I need to go back in and I'll go into the next space just ahead, which is there. Pull the yarn through to the front, and now I have 2 loops and slip stitch. Okay? Like that. And I'm going to continue doing that. So let's find the next one. Next hole is there. Pull through to the front, slip stitch. Find the next space there, pull through to the front, slip stitch. Okay, and this is going to start to add a green line in the middle and the center of your strap, and it's also going to reduce a lot of the slack. Okay, so I'm just going to continue doing this, and you should as well. Alright, so as you can see, surprise, surprise, I added a line of yellow, and see the red back there? I'm going to add a line of red as well. Alright, so I'll show you again. Just come in there, pull the red through, tie 2 knots. So 1, 2. Okay. Put that in the back, and you can move that over like that. Alright, put that in the back. We'll deal with these tails later. And now, remember I told you on each side of the center line, the green line, there are 2 rows of single crochet. So we're going in between the 2 rows of single crochet. So I stick it in, pull through to the front, and I go into that very next hole, which is there. Pull through to the front and slip stitch, and you'll just continue like so till you get to the other side where you'll fasten off. Okay, and this is pretty much all that there is to making the belt. Very nice, huh? Next step will be to attach it. Alright, so as you can see, I am done with the strap, and now the last thing that we need to do is simply attach it. So, if we take the back portion, open it up, and we're going to sew the strap in these corners here where the black is. Okay, so we're going to sew it there, and we're also going to sew it over there. So I'm just going to use my darning needle. Now when you arrange your strap, make sure you arrange it in such a way that the outside is actually facing out. Okay, you don't want it, or you know, some people may want it like that. That's a pretty cool design too, but I want it like this. So I'm going to have the outside facing out like that, and I'm going to have it the exact same way, so the inside facing in, therefore the outside facing out. And I'm just going to sew this together. So I'm just going to measure out some yarn. We don't need it to be super long because we're just sewing the strap to the actual bag. And then I'm going to yarn it. You guys get it? Kind of like threading a needle, but I'm going to yarn the needle since I'm working with yarn. Okay, maybe it's not funny. And now that I have my yarn going, I'm going to tie a little knot like that, not too tight. And then I'm going to grab my work, and my darning needle and my strap, and I'm going to use my darning needle to go through the strap, and come out, pull it through. Okay. Now on this side, I want to show you something. So notice I didn't tie a knot yet over here. So I don't want to pull it all the way. I want to go back in and make sure I go through the strap like that. I'm just pulling it all the way through like that. And now, you guys, I'm going to tie my knot. And I like to tie 2 knots. Alright, so now I'm just going to go in and out. So this will be coming out. Pull it through. And now I can pull it snug and then back in. And I'm going to do this as many times as necessary until I feel like the strap is securely attached to the bag. Okay? Just in and out. Make sure you're going through both the bag as well as the strap. Alright, I'll see you once I'm done securing both sides of the strap. Alright, so as you can see, I have successfully attached the strap to the bag by just sewing it in on both sides. You see? Okay, I went in and out, and I still, believe it or not, had some yarn left from when you guys saw me yarn this needle or thread the needle. I will insert a picture of the finished product because it's hard to capture while recording. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and happy crocheting!